Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Thank you so much for joining me today. On the table in front of us is, well, it's not a new knife. It's been out for a while, but I finally got my hands on one. And I am really happy about it. This is the Mordax. Now, this is designed by Ferrum Forge, built by Protech, and it was distributed by Drop. I say was because they are sold out at the moment, but they have done more than one run. And I gotta tell you, based on the popularity of this knife, I have to believe they're gonna bring these back. They would be absolutely crazy not to. This is a spectacular pocket knife. Now, I have had other Ferrum Forge knives, which I very much enjoyed. In fact, one of those is gonna come up in just a minute. I have had other Protech knives, also excellently made, but the combined efforts of the designer and that manufacturer has built something really special here. Now, this is aluminum handled. In fact, it's aluminum frame. It is a button lock. The action is, well, you know, you hear a lot about fidget factor in knife collecting and in knife. This is a really sharp and dangerous fidget spinner. It really is. The action on this knife is ridiculous. But that's not, to me, its strength. No, its strength is in the outright design. It is, excuse me, very comfortable in hand. It has a marvelous choil that you can choke up on to get up on top of this blade if you need to. This was part of the Apex pass-around group. That means a lot of people have held and played with and messed with this knife, and it showed up to my door with no blade rock, blade play, nothing. The only thing that you can tell that leads you to know this knife has been in somebody else's hands, and I don't think it's going to show up, is that there's a little bit of scratching right here. The stock deep carry clip is fan-freaking-tastic. It has flat screws, plenty of space for thicker jeans or pants. It's got great spring. It's got good ramp. This is an excellent pocket clip. The blade is CPM 20 CV. And what a beautiful piece of work it is. It has a nice high grind. Not totally flat. It's got some flats up here at the top, so it's not a full flat grind, but it comes down to a really nice edge. It's not a razor blade, but it is very sharp. The grind on this one, all the way, is even and beautiful. Protech really did a good job here. I didn't understand why I loved this knife so much, excuse my arm, at first. I had never had a chance to hold one before. I'd seen them around. I passed on them when they originally dropped. And I wasn't sure. There was something about the way that they described it that just didn't ring my bell, so to speak. But I was wrong. Here's the thing. This is the Ferrum Forge Crux. This knife was built by sold through Massdrop, back when it was Massdrop, and designed by Ferrum Forge. This is one of my all-time favorite smaller knives. Now, in order to comfortably hold this, I have to use this choil. But look at the shape of the handles. I've been calling these brothers from other mothers. Different makers, same designer. And man, do they have a similar feel in hand, except the only thing I ever wanted out of the Crux was for it to be a little bigger, because I just have big hands. And while this is a fantastic pocket knife, it's a little small for me. So when I took this out of the box and fell instantly in love with it, I didn't initially understand why until I dragged this out of the collection and realized that this is exactly what I had been asking for the whole time. They're not the same knife. You can see the blade shape's a little different. This is, of course, S35VN. This is all titanium, blah, 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 whatever. But the shape of the handle, even down to the flipper, is very similar. And so I finally got my wish. This is a bigger version, in many ways, of the Crux with a whole bunch of new, interesting, and awesome features built by an American company right here in California, in fact, that makes fantastic knives. And they have done just that for the guys at Ferrum Forge. I'm a fan, can you tell? Let's get some specs out of the way. You know, God, I love this thing. How much do I love it? Well, as soon as it showed up at my door, I offered to buy it from the person who actually owns it, and they sold it to me. So this one is mine. That happened in one day. This knife showed up, I got it in hand, you know, I played with it, and I immediately put into action the getting a hold of it to own. And I do not regret it at all. All right, so let's get some specs out of the way. You get 1, 2, 3 1/4 inches of cutting on 1, 2, 3 3/4 of CPM 20 CV. The grip area from behind the flipper is 1, 2, 3, 4 full inches. And if you add the forward choil, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of grip. Now, that may have been the written spec that steered me away from this originally. It seems like the handle to blade ratio should be wrong, but it isn't. It just isn't. This is an exceptionally well-balanced knife. I love it. The overall knife, from end to end, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1/4 inches long. It is a really nice EDC size with a giant chunk of CPM 20 CV for a blade. Closed, you are looking at 1 1/4 inches. So it does not take up a lot of real estate. The flipper tab's a little pocket stabby. I know, pocket peckery, but with all respect to Nick Shabazz, it is kind of a pocket pecker, but it's still not very big. And so I don't ever have this thing get in the way, and particularly because of the way it sits in the pocket, it's very light, well, lighter, and so it doesn't seem to stab too much. The button lock is done, well, with great Protech style. It is recessed, and so while you could probably activate it by accident, it doesn't happen easily, so you have to actually apply yourself and move past the sunken area here to get the button to work, just exactly as you'd want and expect. Protech absolutely knows what they are doing. Let's get some other specs out of the way, just because I do enjoy doing that. All right, the blade stock, which is not monstrous, is 3.16 millimeters. Go back here to the thickest, 3.14 millimeters thick. So it is not super thick blade stock, but it is very tall. Tall. So it gives it a lot of room to come down to a very nice edge. The handle at its thickest point, which is the same all the way down, I don't know why I said it that way, is under a 1/2 inch, right? 0.46 inches. Overall, this is a remarkable carry and an excellent knife to use. Let's compare it to some other knives, things that you may know so that you get an idea of how big we're really talking about. Here's a new knife to the channel and a great size comparison. This is the PM2. A lot of you have held and played with that knife. It will help you understand. Here is the PM3. As you can see, it is very similar in size to the PM2, which means it is larger than the PM3. Here it is against our old friend, the Bug Out. And as you can see, it is considerably larger than the Bug Out. This knife is just about a perfect handful. It really is. Let's weigh it, just because that's something we do here on the channel. .38 ounces. Now that is heavier than the ounce per inch a lot of EDC nuts tend to like, but I think it's because it's the aluminum handle. It does not carry heavy. It carries very, very light. And again, because of this marvelous Protech pocket clip, You just cannot go wrong. It is on bearings. The action is persistently smooth and excellent. I can't put it down. It's been like that since the day I got it. Every time I set it down, oh, I'm going to pick, carry a different knife, I'm going to do something else, I inevitably end up dropping this thing in my pocket and leaving the house with it. This is... They're going to make more of these. I don't know that for sure. I don't have any inside scoop, but given the popularity of this knife and given how much everyone loves it, I believe they're going to make more of these. I think they would be absolutely crazy not to. And if they don't, they do pop up on the secondary market from time to time, and not priced ridiculously. These are $240, I think, at full price. Over the holidays last year, they dropped them down to about $180. I should not have passed at that time, but they only had a blue one, and you guys know I don't like knives that aren't gray, silver, or black. So when this one showed up on my door, it was, well, it was meant to be. So this is the Ferrum Forge designed Protech built Mordax in CPM 20CV, all aluminum button lock. This is a fantastic pocket knife. If you haven't had a chance to get one in your hands, I hope that you do. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know I've enjoyed making it, and I know I've enjoyed having this knife. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video on your way out. It does help the channel. We'll see you next time.